much, Excellency, for speaking to us.
Thank you, Gauri. I would like to start by expressing our condolences, the condolences of the entire people of Israel for this, following this terrible crash yesterday that demanded the life of so many victims. So our hearts are with the victims, their families, and we wish speedy recovery to the injured.
Right. And so we speak also on a day when there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty with regards to Middle East. I want to first start by asking you, why were the strikes carried out now? There were reports from February onwards that these could be on the anvil, but why now when many felt that probably diplomacy had a shot?
Well, we acted to remove an imminent threat coming from Iran because Iran has been manipulating the world and exploiting these talks in order to go on a fast track to weaponize their fissile material, to create a nuclear weapon. And as you very well know, Gauri, Israel has declared time and again that if the Iranians attempt to create a nuclear weapon, Israel will have no choice but to take action, and this is exactly what we did.
There has been some sort of an immediate retaliation that has come in from Israel. What more are you expecting?
Well, I don't know. I think that the Iranians have started the retaliation. We told them that
there were drone attacks, but
yes,
I'm sure that will not be the all. More so since the IRGC chief has been killed, they would like to have some sort of a messaging there. What are you expecting?
Well, first of all, just for the audience to know, we took action against military nuclear facilities. We took care of top commanders that were commanding this effort against the state of Israel, and we attacked also some of their ballistic missile capability, because Iran was actually trying to destroy Israel on three tracks. The first is their multi-decade attempt to acquire nuclear weapons that we managed to foil. The second is the huge production of ballistic missiles. They have thousands of them. They were planning to build 10,000 ballistic missiles in the next 2 years and 20,000 in the next 6 years. Now, I want people to understand what we're talking about here. Even without the nuclear weapon, we're talking here about each missile carrying 1,000 kilograms of TNT that can kill hundreds of people. If you fire them at a barrage, at a state as small as Israel, which is half of the size of Haryana or the size of Mizoram, that can be devastating. It's an existential threat. And the third track that Iranians promoted was, of course, this ring of fire that they were creating around us by, arming and helping all these proxies, including Hezbollah, the militias in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, etc. So we took action now because we saw that they are coming in almost no time to a situation in which they can fire at us a nuclear weapon.
None of that is something that happened overnight. What you've mentioned is something that's been in the works for months now. In fact, you mentioned about the ring of fire. It's almost been like 18 months since the Hamas attack started. Since then, the proxies have been at war with Israel. I want to understand from you the reason why I said about the timing, or I ask about the timing, is because diplomatic efforts are on. The Trump administration says that they've really put in their political capital at stake here. They were wanting to extract some sort of a deal out of Iran there. And it all looks like it's unlikely to happen at all any time in the future.
Well, diplomacy always has a chance, but diplomacy cannot be exploited in order to pursue the illicit nuclear military program of Iran. And what the Iranians have been doing, and actually it was even confirmed by the IAEA, that Iran is in breach of the safeguards agreement. They've been cheating the world for decades, and they were actually trying to cheat now too. So we tried for decades to prevent this moment. Okay?
Do you think diplomacy still has a chance?
Diplomacy always has a chance.
No, provided that's like a big statement you're making, sir. But
provided it's not a concealment or a manipulative program in order to conceal the construction of a nuclear weapon. What the Iranians were doing now is that we're clandestinely having a group of people working on a nuclear device. This is what is new, and this is why we're doing it now.
So the IAEA said that they are not in a position to confirm that Iran's nuclear program, whatever they've been able to do so far, the 60% enrichment they've done, is only for civil purposes. So so that's an important fact. They put that out. But the reason why I asked you about diplomacy, you made almost like a motherhood statement that this diplomacy always has a chance. But the Trump administration said two things. One, A, you're on your own. We're not backing you at all. In this, you're on your own. And B, that you've shut the door to any diplomatic options whatsoever. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, they didn't say we are on our own. What they said is that they support the legitimate right of Israel to work alone, to defend itself against this threat. And that
you are working alone then?
Yes, but no, it's different. When you say that you're on your own, it means or insinuates that we don't support you. But it's the contrary. We are in sync with the United States. The United States supports our action. And actually, the United States has warned Iran not to escalate and not to try to attack American targets. And this is completely legitimate. We are an independent nation, and we are entitled to defend ourselves by ourselves, and we are grateful to our American friends that have been so supportive in supplying to us the means that we need to defend ourselves.
Where do you see this escalation now going, both on the diplomatic aspect and also the military aspect? This follows after tensions between Israel and Iran really escalated last year, and now 12 months later, they seem to have escalated quite significantly. So how do you see this now going forward, both on the diplomatic track, which a lot of people feel is now pretty much frozen, and also the military expectation in terms of retaliation?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just an escalation. There was a brutal attack on Israel on the 7th of October. There was an intentional attack backed by Iran, by Hezbollah, and by Iran itself to attack Israel. Iran has multiple times sent barrages of missiles and rockets and drones against Israel. And we have declared very clearly that Israel will retaliate to the Iranian retaliation. We will not agree to be in a situation that a nation, a radical regime like Iran, that has sworn to destroy us, will acquire the means to do so. Because, our people already survived an extermination attempt 80 years ago. And we said then, never again. Never again is now.
Okay. What are your expectations in terms of the talks that are scheduled to take place in Oman between Iran and IAEA in the effort to try and see some possible middle ground right now in the backdrop of these escalations that has taken place, these tensions between Israel and Iran? What are your expectations out of the talks in Oman?
Our expectation is that Iran will renounce any capability of enrichment, because it is a state that is radical, that it has breached the basic principle in the Charter of the United Nations by threatening to annihilate another country. It has cheated the international community by, on the one hand, enjoying the benefits of being part of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, but on the other hand, doing illicit activities, including a military nuclear program. And therefore, what we expect is that Iran will actually be negated from an opportunity to enrich uranium, so we can be sure that nuclear weapons won't be assembled in Iran.
What's in it for Iran to come on the table for these talks in Oman? The threat about sanctions is not new. Some of the hard negotiations that have been going on is again not new. The posturing by America that they vacated their non-essential staff from Baghdad and several other areas, again, many feel could be posturing. What is in it for Iran to really come on the table? And the reason why I ask you this is because unless those talks lead to something positive, we are back to talking about these tensions and the uncertainty that it puts the entire region in.
Well, what is new is that the IAEA has determined, that Iran has breached the Safeguards Agreement. It means that Iran has actually undeclared activities that are connected to the nuclear program that they have concealed from the IAEA. And as a result, you had yesterday a resolution passed that declares that Iran is in non-compliance. And as a result of that, not only the United States, but also other countries will snap back sanctions against Iran unless they cooperate. You know, for decades, the international community has asked Iran to cooperate. They have been refusing. So not only that they are creating a threat that is, by the way, not only threatening Israel, but the entire region and the world. Israel, by defending itself, is doing a great service to the region and to the world. Because
If
Iran
the
has refused time and again to come with clean hands to the table, to stop these illicit activities. But if they do, and they actually renounce these illicit capabilities, the way for diplomacy is open.
If those sanctions were to be imposed, which look very likely, as I pointed, that a lot of people, in fact, the IAEA feels that they cannot confidently say that the nuclear program is only for civilian purposes, which means that...
That's an understatement.
I'm only going by what the IAEA
Yeah.
says, which means that fresh sanctions by the UN is on the anvil. So if that is anyway going to happen, do you think this strike right now, this attack right now, and a retaliation that is set to happen as well, which will throw the region into more uncertainty, turmoil, if nothing more, if we stop at just that. Do you think it was warranted right now when the sanctions would have come in place, even if one were to assume that the diplomatic resolution could have been limited, but a new sanctions regime on Iran right now, do you think that itself would have done more damage to the Iranian economy, Iranian society, and Iran in general?
Look, we have to put here things in order. At the end of the day, if the Iranians decide to assemble a nuclear weapon, okay, this is an existential threat for us. And this brings an end to diplomacy. The only way to go back to diplomacy is by preventing this threat either by a decision of Iran to renounce military nuclear capability or by military action of Israel or any other country. So the choice is very clear. If the Iranians opt to continue pursuing their quest for military nuclear capability and military nuclear weapons, then they are going to meet either our military might or other countries' military might, and diplomacy won't solve it.
But who's supporting you? If it's not your military might, others, who are those?
Well, we have seen that, first of all, we enjoy the support of the United States. I think that many countries are concerned. We understand the concern because we also did everything we can to prevent escalation and to convince the Iranians peacefully to renounce their nuclear weapon program. But unfortunately, that failed. And therefore, at the end of the day, even if countries are concerned now, I think that they are going to be extremely grateful for what Israel did, because we have removed a threat. Look, this is not the first time, Gori.
Yeah.
And we saw this in the past. Saddam Hussein tried to acquire nuclear weapons. Assad tried to acquire nuclear weapons. Gaddafi did the same. But I'll tell you what's the difference this time. This is coming from a regime that time and again has declared that they want to annihilate the state of Israel, that they want to remove the so-called tumorous cancer, that they want to remove the small Satan, Israel, in order to fight the big Satan, which is the United States. So when you have a combination of radicalism that creates a quest for destroy another member of the United Nations, and on top of that, you create or you build weapons of mass destruction, that is something that you have to confront. This is reality. So as much as we want to give diplomacy a chance, when you have a player that acts so irresponsibly, that is so radical, that is sworn to destroy you, you have no choice but to take the measures to defend yourself and to neutralize the threat.
Final question, sir, which is that America did evacuate its non-essential staff in its embassy in Baghdad, and these recent strikes that have taken place, it adds to another layer of tension and uncertainty in the region. How do you see that? Has America spoken and been in touch with Israel on these matters? Anything that you can share with us?
We are in touch all the time, Gori. And of course, countries are taking precautions because they act responsibly to defend their assets. I want to remind you that following the Abraham Accords, Israel is now much more in sync with the central command of the United States in the region. We are coordinating our air defenses. We are working with other countries in the region in order to protect the skies of the region. This coordination is essential for our security and for the security of the region as well.
All right, we leave it there, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
speaking to NDTV. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you,
out the
Gauri.
time. All right, viewers, that of course was a very special conversation with the Israeli ambassador to India, Reuven Azar, who connected the dots for us, explained Israel's rationale for the attack, and also spoke about what kind of a possible retaliation that may come in from Iran. Thank you so much for watching that very special conversation.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India's